Willie Nelson's story begins in the tiny farming town of Abbott, Texas, where he was born on April 29th, 1933. Life there was simple, quiet, and often difficult. His parents were very young when he was born, and before long they left, leaving Willie and his sister Bobby to be raised by their grandparents. Their grandparents were strict but loving, and they believed strongly in faith, hard work, and music. Willie's grandmother ordered music books and encouraged the children to learn to read music early. When Willie was only 6 years old, he was given his first guitar, a gift that quietly changed the course of his life. The small Texas town did not offer much opportunity, but it offered something just as important: space for imagination and music. In that quiet place, a shy boy discovered that songs could express feelings that words alone could not. Music as his first home. For young Willie, music quickly became more than a hobby. It became a companion and a form of comfort. By the age of 9, he was already playing guitar in a local band, earning a few dollars and gaining confidence. By 10, he had started writing songs of his own, filling notebooks with lyrics that showed surprising maturity for a child. During the summers, he worked in the cotton fields and helped with farm labor, learning early about discipline and responsibility. At the same time, he absorbed every sound around him: church hymns, Western swing on the radio, and blues drifting from nearby dance halls. These influences blended together inside him, shaping a musical voice that would one day become unmistakable. For Willie, music was not just entertainment. It was a language that allowed him to process life, loneliness, and hope in a way that felt natural and honest. Searching for direction. After graduating from Abbott High School in 1950, Willie stepped into adulthood with ambition but no clear roadmap. Like many young men of that era, he briefly joined the United States Air Force, hoping the structure would give his life direction. However, health issues forced him to leave early. Returning to Texas, he moved through a long list of ordinary jobs. He sold Bibles door to door, worked as a radio announcer, tried plumbing, and took other small jobs simply to get by. Through all of this, music remained the constant thread. He played in small clubs, on radio stations, and anywhere people would listen. The money was modest, but every performance sharpened his skill and deepened his connection with audiences. These early years were not glamorous, but they taught Willie persistence. They also strengthened his belief that somewhere in the wider world there was a place where his songs truly belonged. The songwriter behind the curtain. In the early 1960s, Willie moved to Nashville, the heart of the country music industry. Nashville recognized his talent quickly, but mostly as a songwriter. The songs he wrote began finding their way to famous voices. Hello Walls became a major hit for Farron Young. Another of his songs, Funny How Time Slips Away, was also widely recorded. Most famously, Crazy became an unforgettable classic when sung by Patsy Cline. Yet, while his songs were becoming famous, Willie himself struggled to be accepted as a performer. Industry executives felt his voice and phrasing did not fit the polished Nashville sound. Ironically, the qualities they questioned, his relaxed timing and conversational style, would later become exactly what made him unique. Leaving Nashville behind by the early 1970s, Willie Nelson felt increasingly frustrated. The industry wanted to reshape his music into something smoother and more commercial, but it no longer felt authentic to him. After a difficult period that included losing his home in a fire, he decided to leave Nashville behind and return to Texas. That decision marked a turning point in his life. In Austin, a new and diverse audience was forming. College students, rock fans, and traditional country listeners who were eager for something real. When Willie stepped onto the stage at the famous Armadillo World Headquarters, he discovered a crowd ready to embrace his raw, honest style. The experience gave him the freedom he had been searching for. For the first time, he could perform exactly the way he wanted, without trying to fit into anyone else's expectations. The rise of the outlaw sound. Out of this freedom grew the movement known as outlaw country. Alongside artists like Waylon Jennings and Kris Kristofferson, Willie helped redefine country music. The songs were raw, honest, and less polished than the Nashville productions dominating radio. His 1975 album, Red-Headed Stranger, became a breakthrough moment. Its simple sound and storytelling captivated listeners. The single Blue Eyes Crying in the Rain reached #1 and introduced him to a massive audience. Soon after, the collaborative album, Wanted. The Outlaws became the first country album to sell more than 1 million copies. After years of rejection, Willie Nelson had finally become one of country music's most important voices. Facing a financial storm, success did not mean life would become easy. In 1990, Willie faced a massive financial challenge when the Internal Revenue Service claimed he owed millions of dollars in unpaid taxes. The situation forced him to sell property and belongings in order to settle the debt. For many artists, such a crisis could have ended a career. But Willie responded in the only way he knew, through music. He recorded a unique project called the IRS Tapes, Who'll Buy My Memories, offering stripped-down performances directly to fans. At the same time, he toured relentlessly, performing night after night. Support from friends and fans reminded him that his music had created something deeper than fame. Eventually, through persistence and hard work, he paid the debt and regained stability. The weight of personal loss. Life also brought moments of deep, personal grief. Willie experienced the heartbreaking loss of his son, Billy, in the early 1990s, a tragedy that changed him in ways few people could fully understand. Throughout the years, he also said goodbye to close friends and musical partners, including Waylon Jennings and Merle Haggard. These were people who had shared the road, the stage, and decades of memories. Each loss left a quiet space in his life. Yet instead of withdrawing, Willie continued writing and performing. Music became the place where he could process grief and honor the people he loved. His later performances carried a deeper emotional weight, as if every song had become a conversation with the past. Health challenges and perseverance. As the years passed, Willie Nelson also faced the natural challenges of aging. Decades of touring and performing had taken their toll on his body, and he was eventually diagnosed with emphysema. Breathing became more difficult, and he had to cancel a few shows, something that had been extremely rare throughout his career. Yet even as his health required adjustments, he refused to give up performing. Instead, he adapted. He shortened his sets, rested more between tours, and focused on preserving the voice that fans cherished. Remarkably, the warmth and sincerity of his singing remained intact. For audiences, seeing him on stage was no longer just about the music. It was about witnessing dedication and resilience from a man who had spent his entire life sharing his art. Family. And a new chapter. Later in life, Willie found lasting stability with his wife, Annie D'Angelo, whom he married in 1991. Together they raised 2 sons, including Lucas Nelson, who followed his father into music. In his Texas community of Luck, Willie created a peaceful home surrounded by nature, family, and longtime friends. Unlike the restless decades of constant touring earlier in his life, these years allowed him to enjoy moments of quiet connection. Performing with his sons became one of his greatest joys. The stage was no longer just a workplace, it was a place where family history and musical legacy came together. Giving back through music, Willie Nelson also dedicated much of his energy to helping others. In 1985, he co-founded Farm Aid with John Mellencamp and Neil Young. The annual concerts raised millions of dollars to support struggling American farmers. For Willie, this cause was deeply personal. Having grown up in a farming community, he understood how fragile that way of life could be. Through Farm Aid and other charitable work, he used his influence to support people whose stories rarely reached national attention. It was another way he stayed connected to his roots. The legacy of an honest voice. Willie Nelson's legacy cannot be measured only by awards, record sales, or fame. His real legacy lies in the honesty of his music. Over more than 7 decades, he created songs that spoke directly to human experiences: love, loss, hope, and memory. Audiences around the world found comfort in his voice because it sounded genuine, never forced. Even today, when he walks onto a stage with his famous guitar trigger, people feel that connection. Willie Nelson's life shows that authenticity can outlast trends, criticism, and even time itself. From a small Texas town to international recognition, he built a career not by changing who he was, but by staying true to it. And that simple truth may be the most powerful song he ever shared.